What's going on, everybody? This is Andre here with Camera Review Pro. In this video, we're going to be comparing the photos of a Canon M50 to the photos taken by an iPhone 13. Now, the Canon M50 has been around for a little while, but it's still a really popular camera even to this day. So how does it stack up against the photos taken by the latest iPhone? Well, we're about to find out. Before we go any further, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. But with that being said, let's get into it. On the left here, we got the photo taken by the Canon M50, and on the right is the photo taken with the iPhone 13. So both photos are really sharp and look really professional, but there are some differences here. I would say the colors, contrast, and overall detail is a lot stronger and more vivid in the photo taken by the iPhone 13, whereas the photo taken by the Canon M50, while really sharp and professional, is a little bit dull in comparison. Overall, I do think the photo taken by the iPhone 13 has more life and detail in it, so if you are going for the more cinematic pictures, the iPhone 13 is going to have an advantage. Now, once again, we got the Canon M50 photo on the left and the iPhone 13 photo on the right. Same thing going on here. I do think the iPhone 13's photo has a lot more life in it. The details and overall colors are more vivid, but this time we see an additional difference in the lighting. The iPhone 13 really handles lighting a lot better, whereas with the Canon M50, parts of the picture are either overexposed or underexposed. There's really not much of an in-between, so lots of parts of the image are just a little bit hard to see. As you can see here, the face of the owl on the Canon M50's photo is just so dark, whereas with the iPhone 13, the lighting is really good and you can see the details really well. And in this picture, as always, Canon M50 photo on the left, iPhone 13 photo on the right. And in this picture, things are a little bit different. The same principle applies as before. The colors, lighting, and overall details are a little bit more vivid in the photo taken by the iPhone 13. But with this one, I do actually like the photo taken by the Canon M50 a little bit better. If you look really closely at the blur of the background, you'll see that in the photo taken by the Canon M50, it's a lot more gradual, a lot more intense in the actual background itself, and it looks so much more natural, resulting in a more professional looking photo. But in the picture taken by the iPhone 13, yes, the colors, details, and lighting still look a lot more vivid, but at the same time, the blur of the background and the focus on the subject in this photo are all so abrupt it just looks a little bit tacky and less professional. In this photo, we see the same kind of thing. The photo on the left, taken by the Canon M50, has a smoother contrast between the blur of the background and the focus on the subject. Whereas with the iPhone 13, the photo has a lot more life and vivid detail, but the focus on the subject isn't as distinct and the background isn't blurred as much. Now in this photo, we did something a little different. Instead of distinctly focusing on a subject, this is a more overall wider angle type of photo, and the differences are interesting. With the Canon M50 photo on the left, it continues to have a little bit less vivid details than the iPhone 13 photo on the right, but at the same time, in this specific image, the very things that usually give the iPhone 13's photos so much life are actually kind of hurting it in this photo, because I feel like the iPhone 13's photo is a little bit too dark, whereas in this situation, the Canon M50 does capture a little bit more light that makes the image more natural looking and more pleasing to the eye. Here's another photo with more of a large scenery and less of a distinct subject. Once again, the photo taken by the Canon M50 on the left is quite a bit brighter than the photo taken by the iPhone 13, but at the same time, the details are a bit more vivid in the iPhone 13's photo than they are in the Canon M50's photo. In general, I feel like in these types of photos with a really large open area, not as much of a distinct subject, and really optimal lighting, the Canon M50 is performing a little bit better because the lighting is a little bit brighter, whereas with the iPhone 13, even though the picture is still good, the contrast is just a little bit high, and even though the details are a lot more vivid, the photo just isn't quite as bright. Now in this photo, it's actually the opposite. The photo on the left, taken by the Canon M50, is overexposed in the bright areas and underexposed in the dark areas, and the details and colors in general look really dull and lifeless compared to the photo on the right, taken by the iPhone 13. This difference suggests that while the Canon M50 can perform really well in open spaces with optimal lighting, when it comes to scenery with more complex lighting and more intense highlights, the iPhone 13's camera is a lot more adaptable. As always, we got the Canon M50 photo on the left and the iPhone 13 photo on the right, and I really don't have any complaints about either of these photos. I think they both look really good, and it ends up being the same kind of differences that we've been seeing throughout this video. With the Canon M50, the blurring of the background is a lot smoother and more natural looking, and in this particular photo, it's a lot more intense. Now granted, the iPhone 13 was not in portrait mode for this photo, but still the fact remains that the focus and general contrast between the subject and the background is a little bit more smooth and natural looking with the Canon M50 than it is with the iPhone 13. But on the other hand, the details, vividness, general lighting, and just overall life of the photo is all a lot stronger and more interesting looking on the iPhone 13 than it is with the Canon M50. Now, one of the main advantages the Canon M50 has had over the iPhone 13 in this video is the blurring of the background. With the Canon M50, the focus on the subject has in general been a little bit stronger and the background is blurred a little bit more naturally, but in this next picture, this is the first picture in this video where we used portrait mode with the iPhone 13, so let's take a look and see if it makes a difference. As always, the Canon M50 photo is on the left and the iPhone 13 photo is on the right. And as you can see here, now that the iPhone 13 is in portrait mode, the background is definitely blurred a lot more, and the contrast and focus between the subject and background is a lot better. I would actually say in this situation, the iPhone 13 photo is a lot better than the Canon M50's photo, mostly because now with the background blurred, it looks a lot more professional. The iPhone 13's photos are much more vivid and detailed in general than the Canon M50's photos, so now that the Canon M50's advantage of having a better contrast and focus between the subject and the background is more equalized, I would say it's more definite that the iPhone 13's photo is a little bit better. So now that we've gone over a bunch of photos, let's take a look at a video sample. Let's start it off with a couple videos from the Canon M50.
This is a test video from the Canon M50 using the kit lens.
As you could probably tell from the audio quality in the first clip, the Canon M50 really doesn't have much of a built-in microphone, and I actually had to increase the volume while editing this video quite a bit for it even to be audible at all. Now of course, if you're going to be shooting a lot of serious videos more often, this isn't really going to be that much of a problem, because in that situation, you're most likely going to have an external mic of some sort, but as it stands, the Canon M50, while it does technically have a built-in microphone that works, it doesn't work very well.
This is a test video from the iPhone 13.
So this is really the same difference we've been seeing between the Canon M50 and the iPhone 13 in the normal photos. I do think both of them are really good, but at the same time, the iPhone 13 handles exposure, especially in bright lighting outside, a little bit better than the Canon M50, and as a result, the colors and general clarity of the image are just a little bit better. Another thing to keep in mind is that while the quality of the iPhone 13's built-in mic isn't amazing by any means, I do think it's quite a bit better than the built-in mic of the Canon M50. Now, if you're shooting some serious professional videos, you're most likely not going to be using the built-in mic on either of these devices. But at the same time, if you're not shooting something that's a real professional, extensive production and just want to get a quick clip of something, the iPhone 13 is definitely going to have an advantage in audio because the microphone is so much better. So in conclusion, which of these devices takes better photos? I personally think that for normal everyday use, in most cases, the iPhone 13 is going to have better photos and videos. In general, the iPhone 13 tends to handle lighting a little bit better. It has better focus on the subjects, and the colors and details are a lot more vivid. With video, it's really more of the same, and with the video, without any help from an external mic, the iPhone does have better audio quality. So overall, unless you're in a situation where you'll specifically benefit from having the ability to use manual focus or switch out lenses, which is more of a camera thing rather than a smartphone thing, then I would say the iPhone 13 is most likely going to be the best choice. But this was a quick comparison between the photo and video quality of the Canon M50 and the iPhone 13. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.